Hello, everyone. Welcome to our lesson on multiplication using the standard algorithm. So our objective for today is we will understand how the standard algorithm is related to the area model and break apart model. So we are going to be introducing the standard algorithm to you today, which you may or may not be familiar with. Maybe someone's shown it to you already. We are going to be talking about that today. However, before we get into just how to follow those steps to use the standard algorithm, we want to first look at how it's going to relate to the models that we've already used, our area model and our break apart model. So I'm going to take a sample problem and I'm going to go ahead and do it in both the area model and the break apart model. And we're going to see what we get. Okay, so let's start with our sample problem. For what we're going to start with will be 25 times 31. Right? And I'm going to divide this into 3 sections here. I'm going to do the area model. I'm going to do the break apart model. And then I'm going to do the standard algorithm. All right. So let's start with our area model. If we're doing 25 times 31, I need to go ahead and draw out my box. And I need to divide the top into 2 sections because I have 10s and 1s, and the side into 2 sections because I have 10s and 1s. All right, then I'm going to go ahead and break those numbers apart. 25 is 20 and 5, and then 31 is 30 and 1. Now I'm going to do something a little bit different here. It's not going to change my answer, but instead of putting the 30 here in the top left, I'm actually going to put the 30 down here and put the 1 right here. Okay, and I'll show you why in just a second. But it's not going to change our answer at all. I'm just switching which order is which, but it's still going to combine into 31. Because if we're adding 30 plus 1, it doesn't matter if 1 comes first or 30 comes first. It's still going to combine into 31. So all I'm doing is I'm switching these, and you'll see why in just a minute. Okay? So now that I have my area model set up, I'm going to go ahead and multiply. So 20 times 1. That is 20. Pretty easy. 5 times 1, that is 5. Okay. 20 times 30. Well, I know 2 times 3 is 6. And then I have a 0 here and a 0 here. So that's going to move over 2 place values. So that's 2 extra zeros there because it moved over 2 place values. And then I have 30 times 5. Well, I know 3 times 5, that's 15. And then an extra 0 on the end is 150. Okay, so I have 20, 5, 600, and 150. So I'm going to add all of those up. 600 plus 150. I always like to start with the big numbers first. For some reason, it just makes it easier for me. You do not have to, but I like it because it helps me line up my numbers correctly. All right, and then I can add these up. 1's column, I have 5. 10's column, I have 7. And my 100's column, I have 7. All right, so I have 775. 775. All right, now let's look at our break apart model. So I have 25 and 31. So I'm just going to rewrite that. 25 and 31. Now, remember, I have to multiply this 20. I have to multiply it by the 3 and by the 1. So I'm going to start with that. I'm going to take just the 20. So 20 times 30 first, and then 20 times 1. Okay, then I have to do the 5 times both pieces also. So I'm going to do the 5 times 30 and the 5 times 1. Okay, I have 4 different multiplication problems here, just like I multiplied 4 different times here in my area model. Okay, I'm breaking apart each section or each number here into the 10s and the 1s and multiplying it by each of the other pieces of the other number. So now I can go ahead and multiply these across. And since I already did the multiplication over here, I can just use those same answers. 20 times 30, well, I did that right here. 20 times 30, that's 600. 20 times 1, that's 20. And I'm going to try and line my numbers up right now as I'm multiplying them across, just because it's easier for me when I end up adding them. 5 times 30, that's 150. And then 5 times 1 is 5. Notice how I kept my numbers in the correct column so that when I add them, I don't have to get confused about, oh wait, that 5 should be over on this side because it's a 1. I just went ahead and lined them up as I was multiplying. Makes it easier for me when I have to add them. All right, now I have 600 plus 20 plus 150 plus 5. Let's see, 5 in our ones column, 7 in our tens column, and 7 in our hundreds column. All right, so that's 775. So it looks like we got the same answer in our area model as we did our break apart model. Okay, we multiplied 4 different multiplication problems here. We broke apart the 20 into 20 and 5, and then we multiplied each of those times the 30 and each one by the 1. So 20 times 30 and 20 times 1, then 5 times 30 and 5 times 1. Okay, now let's look at how that's going to work with our standard algorithm. So I have 25 times 31. So this is how I'm going to set up the standard algorithm. And you may have seen this before. You might be familiar with it. We are setting it up and down, and I'll show you how we're going to go through each piece of that. All right, so let's start looking at our standard algorithm here. Now, since we are set up a different way, we're going to be going up and down instead of going across like we were doing in our break apart model and our area model where we're using top and bottom. This time we're going up and down. Okay, so I'm going to start with my one side. I'm going to do 5 and 1. Okay, that's my first multiplication problem. 5 times 1, I'm going to go straight down. That is 5. Okay, now I'm going to go over to the 2. I'm doing the 2 times the 1, but this isn't just a 2, this is actually 20, because if you look over here, remember we took 25 and we broke it into 20 and 5. So basically what I'm doing right now is I'm multiplying the 20 and the 5 by the 1. Look at that, we did that here. We did 20 and the 1, and we did, sorry, 5 and the 1. There it is, 5 and the 1. So 20 and 5, I'm breaking them apart, multiplying them both by 1 right now. Here's my 1. I did the 5 and the 1, that's 5. And then I'm doing the 20 and the 1. Now 2 times 1, I'm just looking at the 2 times 1. That's going to be 2. Oops, there we go. However, you'll notice it is in the tens place, right? If you look at this number right here, it's 25. It's in the tens place. So it is actually 20, even though I just did 2 times 1, and that equals 2. All right, so I did 5 times 1, that's 5. 2 times 1, that's 2. All right, so now I have 25 for my top row. Now, I have to figure out how I'm going to multiply by this 30 here. Okay, I did the 1. I did 1 times 5, and I did 1 times 20. Okay, so that checks off this part and this part, right? And in my area model, 1 times 20 and 1 times 5. Okay, so I did that part, but I am definitely not done. I still need to multiply the 30 times both the 20 and the 5. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to make a new line in my standard algorithm. And the first thing I'm going to do when I do that, I'm going to go down below my 5, and I'm going to put a 0 here. Okay, now that 0 is our place value holder, because that 0 is telling me I'm multiplying by 30 now, not just a ones place. On this first row, I was multiplying by 1 times 5 and 1 times 20, right? And I got 25. Now I'm multiplying by 30. So I have this 0 here because I'm multiplying by the next place value over, okay? So that 0 is the first step in my next line. Now I can start multiplying. So now I'm looking at the 30. The 1 is done. We already multiplied the 1. We don't have to worry about that. Now I'm looking at the 30. So I have 30. And the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to go across like this up to the 5. 30 times 5. Okay, now I just have to look at it as 15. 3 times 5 I know is 15, right? So if I do 3 times 5, that would be 15. But I'm not going to write 15 here, because just like when I'm adding and I have a number that if my answer is 2 digits, I'm not going to write both digits here because I know I have to go to the next place value over. Okay, it's just like carrying when you're in addition. When you're adding up something and you get more than one digit, that first digit is going to have to carry over to the next place value. We're going to have to do the same thing here. So since 3 times 5 is 15, what I'm going to do is put the 5 down. There we go. My marker's starting to die. I'm going to put the 5 down, and then I'm going to carry the 1 of the 15 over to my next problem, which is right here. I put that 1 here from the 15 above my next problem. My next problem is 20 times 30, or we can see it as 2 times 3, which is 6, and then plus this 1 more that I carried over from the 15. So 2 times 3 is 6, plus 1 more is going to be 7. Okay, so I have 25 and I have 750. Now, what in the world do I do with those two numbers? I see my answers over here are 775 and 775. They're the same. I have two numbers here. So how do these numbers correspond with these? Well, we're going to go back over to the area model, and I'm going to show you why I did the multiplication the way I did on the area model. Okay, so when I did 25 times 31, I did 25 times 31 over here, right? I already did the 20 times 1, which was 20. I did the 5 times 1, which was 5. That's why I checked both of those off. They were already done. Now, on this second part, I did 30 times 20. That was 600. When I did the 30 times 5, that was 150, or 15 as we did it over here because it was in a different place value. Okay, so we checked off each one of these multiplication problems. We did all of them. Now I want to show you something. If I add these rows straight across, 20 plus 5, because we know I have to add all of these up at the end, right? 20 plus 5, that's, sorry, this marker is not working anymore. I'm going to switch. 20 plus 5 is 25. And then if I add this row, 600 plus 150, let's see, 600 plus 100, that's 700. And then 50, so I should have left myself some more space there. I have 25 and I have 750. Well, look at that. Right over here, I have 25 and I have 750. So it looks like my area model actually gave me the same two answers as I did with the standard algorithm. It's just with the area model, the 600 and the 100 were broken apart in two different pieces. In my standard algorithm, I already combined them because of the carrying I did. I did 3 times 5 is 15 and put that 1 above the 600. So I did the 600 and then just added another 100 already. So it's 750. When I added them up across, I got the same, 25 and 750, 25 and 750. So just like I would do with my area model, where I need to add up all the different pieces, I'm doing the same thing with my standard algorithm. I'm going to add up the pieces that I got. 5, 2 plus 5 is 7, and then 7 plus nothing is 7. And what did I get? 775. The same answer I got with my break apart model and the same answer I got with my area model. All three are the same. Okay, and you can see how we did each piece within the standard algorithm, just much shorter. Okay, in fact, we can even check it off on the break apart model too, just like we did with the area model. So first we did the 20 times 1 and the 5 times 1, remember, because we multiplied the 1 first. Then we did the 30. We multiplied the 30 times 5 and the 30 times 20. Well, look at that, 30 times 5, we did that, and 30 times 20, we did that. So we did all 4 parts of the break apart model, all 4 parts of the area model. We just did it a little bit faster in the standard algorithm because we just went boom, 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 and then added them. And instead of having to add up 4 pieces like we did in both of these, we only had to add 2 because within the standard algorithm, when we multiply like this, it's already combining 2 of the pieces. So we're only combining 25 and 750 instead of 600 plus 20 plus 150 plus 5. We're only adding 2 instead of 4, but we're still getting the same final answer. Okay, every time we got 775. Okay, so in all three of these, we're still getting the same answer. We are still multiplying 4 different times. We're multiplying 4 different pieces. We're just adding them up and getting the same answer. Okay, all right, let's try this with another problem. Switch colors. Okay, I'm going to do the same thing. Here's my area model, my break apart model, and my standard algorithm. Whoops, that's okay. All right, okay, this problem we are going to do is 14 times 65. Whoops, I wrote 64. I meant that to be 65. 14 times 65. All right, so let's go ahead and do all 3 models and make sure that we are getting the same answer. All right, let me start with my area model. I like the area model the most, just personally, because I'm a very visual person, and I like being able to see all 4 squares being completed. Okay, but you might like the break apart model more, that's fine. You might like the standard algorithm more, that's fine too. Ah, I didn't leave myself enough space. That's okay. We'll make it work. So we're doing 14 times 65. So 14, I'm going to break apart into 10 and 4. And then 65, I'm going to break apart into 60 and 5. But I'm going to do it the same way I did the other time. I'm going to put the 5 on top and the 60 below. That's a 60. Sorry, guys. We're still going to get the same answers. I'm just switching which one I'm doing on top and which one I'm doing on bottom. Still multiplying the same numbers though. Okay, so now that we have this set up, let's go ahead and add it up. Multiply it, then we'll add it. So let's start with 10 times 5. So that's going to be 50. I know that from my math facts. 4 times 5, I know that from my math facts. That's 20. 10 times 60, well, I know 1 times 6, that's 6. And then a 0 and another 0. Oh, 600. And then 60 times 4. 6 times 4 is 24 with a 0 on the end. Okay, so we have 50, 20, 600, and 240. Okay, so I'm going to add up just these 2 lines. 50 plus 20, that's 70. And then 600 plus 240. Well, 600 plus 200, that's 800. And then 40. 840. All right, so I know from my first example that my standard algorithm should have these 2 lines. It should have 70 and it should have 840. If it doesn't, then I probably multiplied something wrong. Okay, so now let's add these up, see what our final answer is. 840 plus 70. All right, well, 0. 4 plus 7, oh, that's going to be more than 10. That's going to be 11. So I'm going to put my 1 here, carry my 1 over into the next place value, which is our hundreds. And that's going to be 800 plus 100, 910. Okay, 910 is our answer for that one. All right, let's see if we get the same answer with our break apart model. So with my break apart, I'm going to start with the 14, and I'm going to break apart, goodness gracious, break it apart, there we go, into the 10 and the 4. I'm going to start with the 10. So I'm going to do 10 times 60 and 10 times 5. So I have both of those. Now I'm doing the same thing with the 4. 4 times 60 and 4 times 5. Okay, so now we've got those. 10 times 60, I know from over here that's 600. 10 times 5, that's 50. 4 times 6, that's 240. Oh, sorry, I meant to say 4 times 60. There we go. And 4 times 5, that is 20. And like I said before, friends, I am making sure that my numbers are already lined up. So it just makes the adding easier for me. I don't have to rewrite all my numbers again down here. I'm just going to put them in the correct place value so that I can just, boom, add them up right there. And in, let's see, my ones column, I have 0, pretty easy. In my tens column, I have 5, 4, and 2. Well, 5 plus 4, that's 9, plus 2 more, that's 11. So I'm going to have a 1 here, and my other 1 is going into my hundreds place. Now I have 6 plus 2, that's 8, plus another 1, that is 9, so that's 910. Same answer I got here. Okay, we're doing good so far. Looks like those two are checking each other out, and that makes sense. And let's go to our standard algorithm now. 14 times 65. All right, 14 times 65. All right, so first thing I'm going to do, I'm going to start with my bottom right corner here, okay, this 5 right here, and I'm going to multiply it by the 4 and by the 10, okay? So it's like I'm doing my 5s first. I'm multiplying 5 times 4, and I'm multiplying 5 times 10. So 5 times 4 first, I'm going straight up. 5 times 4 is 20. Oh, I can't write 20 there because that's too big. So I'm going to do the same thing I did before. I'm going to put down my 0 for 20, and I'm going to carry that 2 over into my tens column, okay? So now I have 1 times 5, or this is 10 times 5. So 1 times 5, that's 5, and 2 more, that's 7. So my 7 is going to come here. Okay, well, that's 70. Let me check my area model. Oh, okay, that's working. I got 70 for the top line here also. All right, so far so good. Great. Now I need to multiply the 60. I need to do the 60. So I'm going to do 60 times 4, and then I'm going to do 60 times 1. Okay, so let's start with 6 times 4. That's 24. Same problem. And you know what? I forgot something. As soon as I go to my next line, first thing I need to do is put that 0 in there, because now I'm multiplying 60 times each of these, so our place value needs to be adjusted. Okay, so I'm multiplying 6 times 4, but since I have this 0 here, it's actually 60 times 4, which is what we did over here. 60 times 4, right? 240. So 6 times 4 is 24. Well, I can put the 4 down here, but then my 2, again, needs to be carried over to my next problem. Now, luckily enough, that's the same number we carried this other time, but there are going to be other problems where you're going to have to carry more than one number when you're multiplying the different sections. If they're different, you need to make sure you're adding up the right one. So I'm carrying a 2. So I crossed out the first one I did, and I put my new carry number here because I don't want to accidentally add the one from the first, from when I was multiplying my 1s. I want to make sure I'm adding the one from my 10s that I'm currently multiplying. Okay, so I want to make sure I'm staying on track with what part of the problem I am doing. So 6 times 4 is 24. We put the 4 here, and we carry the 2 up to above the 1. So now we can multiply the 1 times 6. Well, that's easy. That's 6. And then plus 2 more, the 2 that we carried. 6 plus 2, well, that's going to be 8. Okay, so now I can add these two pieces up. 70 and 840. Let's check. Okay, it matches my area model. I have 70 and I have 840. So when I add this up, it should be the same as my other two models. So I have 0 plus 0, that's 0. 7 plus 4, that's 11. So 1, and carry that 1 over to my hundreds column. Now I have 800 plus 100, 900. So my final answer is 910, 910, 910. Now let's check off and make sure we did each of these pieces the same. So we did 5 times 4. Well, I'm going to look at my break apart model. There I see 5 times 4. And in my area model, I see 5 times 4. Okay. Then we did 5 times 10. 5 times 10, because this one right here is in the tens column. So 5 times 10 right here, here's 5 times 10. And in my area model, here's 5 times 10. Boom, checked it off. Then I did 60 times 4. 60 times 4, that's right here. And in my area model, 60 times 4, that's right here. Then I did 60 times 10. 60 times 10 is there. And over here, 60 times 10 is here. So I did all 4 pieces from both my area model and my break apart model, and I put them into my standard algorithm. When I added those up, I got 910 in every single one. They all matched. All right, so now that we've looked at two different examples of how our area model, break apart model, and standard algorithm are all doing the same thing and getting the same answers, so now that we've seen that twice, what I'm going to do is go over a little bit more in detail what we do when we're using the standard algorithm. Okay, so what are the steps for doing the standard algorithm? So I'm going to set up a pretend problem here. Okay, here's my, and I'm going to make it nice and big so you can see my steps, okay? So I'm just going to pretend I'm multiplying just all ones times each other. Want to make sure you can tell that they are ones. Oops, that's supposed to be multiplied. All right, so if I'm multiplying 11 times 11, okay, the first step I'm going to do, actually, I'm going to do it with a different color so it stands out. First thing I'm going to do is multiply my ones and my ones. So that's these two numbers. That is step number 1. Okay. Next thing I'm going to do is multiply this one times this 10. Because remember, we have to multiply each piece times each other. That's step number 2. Okay. So as I'm filling this out, if I were to actually do that, well, 1 times 1, that's 1. And then 1 times 1 is 1. Okay, so that's pretty easy. That was 11. Now, my next step, I'm going to start multiplying my second number, which means I'm going to my next row. So my third step is going to be, actually, I'm going to do it in purple, sorry, is going to be my 0. Okay, my placeholder here. So my 0, that is step number 3. So first we multiply up, then we multiply across, and we put those down here. Next step, we put that 0 for our next row. Okay. After we put that 0, then we can start multiplying this 10 times the top 2 pieces. Okay. So our next step is going to be this 10. It's going to cross over, and that's step number 3. Okay. That would be 1 times 1, that is 1. And then our last step is going to be the 10 times the 10. Going straight up again. 1 times 1. Oh no, I messed up my numbering. Hang on. I knew I was going to do that. Give me a second, I will fix this. All right, I have fixed the order here. So this was my third step. So that means when I went across from here up to here, that is the 4th step. So that's where I got mixed up a little bit. That is step number 4, which means my final step where I'm multiplying the 10s and the 10s, that is step number 5. All right, so then if I'm multiplying the 10s times the 10s, that's just 1 times 1. I'm going to put that in my bottom row here. And then my next step, I'll probably do this in purple. My last step is adding them up. Okay, so now I can go ahead and add these up. 1 plus 0 is 1. 1 plus 1 is 2. And 1 plus 0 is 1. And if you know your multiplication facts, you should know 11 times 11 is 121. So we already know that we're correct. But that shows you our different steps. Okay, 1 is multiplying the 1s times the 1s. Step number 2 is going across the 1s times the top 10s. Step number 3 is putting our 0 in the next line. Step number 4 is multiplying the 10s times the top 1s. And step number 5 is multiplying our 10s times our 10s. And then finally, step number 6, we add them all together. Okay, and remember, in the course of that, the reason why we have all these arrows going all over the place is because we are doing the 4 different steps of the area model and the break apart model, just condensed into shorter steps. Right? Each time we are multiplying one of these, we are doing one of our steps, and we're just combining them right away into our standard algorithm, And our final step, adding them up, is going to get us our final answer, which in this case is 121. Right? And that's going to give us the same answer as if we did our area model or if we did our break apart model. Okay? All right, let's do one more. Here we go. Let's do some bigger numbers this time. This time, let's do 72 times 24. All right, and I'm going to do same thing, area model here. I'm just going to abbreviate it. Area and then break apart. And then standard. All right, I'll mix up the colors a little bit this time because I like colorful things. All right, so let's do our area model. First things first, I need to draw out my box. Hand is very shaky today. All right, 72 times 24. I'm going to take 70 and 2, and then 20 and 4. I'm going to put the 4 on top and then 20 here, because remember, it does not matter which one is on top, which one's on bottom. We are still multiplying across, but when we do it like this, we can make sure that it matches up with our standard algorithm. All right, then let's go ahead and do our multiplication. So 4 times 7, that is 28 with the 0, so we move that place value over. Then we have 4 times 2, that is 8. Nice and easy. 70 times 20, there we go. 7 times 2, that's 14. And then a 0 here and another 0 here. That's going to be 1,400. That's a big number. And then we've got 20 times 2. 2 times 2 is 4 with a 0. Okay, I'm going to add these across. 280 plus 8, that's going to be 288. Pretty simple. And then 1,400 plus 40. Oh, same thing. Pretty simple. 1,440. Okay, so 288 plus 1,440. If I add those up, eight plus 0 is 8. 8 plus 4 is 12. 4 plus 2 is 6, plus 1 more is 7. And then 1 plus nothing is 1. So 1,728. That is a big answer. All right, let's see if I can get the same thing with my break apart. I'm going to start with 70, and I'm going to do 70 times 20, and then 70 times 4. Then I'm going to do the 2 and repeat the same steps. 2 times 20, and 2 times 4. All right, so 70 times 20, that's what I did over here. 70 times 20, that was 1,400. 70 times 4 is 280. 2 times 20 is going to be 40. And 2 times 4 is 8. Oh, look at that. I went from biggest to smallest. Oh, that's fun. All right, so then we can add these up. 0 plus 8, that's going to be 8. Tens column, 8 plus 4 is 12. Carry the 1. 4 plus 2 is 6, plus 1 more is 7. And our thousands column is just going to be 1. So 1,728 matches up with my area model perfectly. Let's try it with the standard and see if we can get the same thing. Okay, standard algorithm. 72 times 24. All right, first thing, I go up this way. I'm multiplying my two ones together. 4 times 2, that is 8. Now I'm multiplying my ones down here times my tens on the top. So 4 times 7. 4 times 7, I know, that is 28. So I'm going to put 28 here. 288. 288. Okay, so far so good. Those are matching. Now, step number 3, I can't forget. Got to put a 0 in my next line. That's step number 3. Now I can start multiplying the 20 of the 24. So 2 times 2, first thing I'm going to cross, that is 4. And then straight up and down, 7 times 2, that is 14. Okay, we didn't even have to carry anything. That's awesome. And let's see, 288 and 1,440. 288, 1,440. Okay, looking good so far. Before I add it, let me check that I multiplied every section with my break apart model and with my area model. So I did 2 times 4. I see that right here in break apart, and I see that right here in my area model. 2 times 4. Then I did 4 times 7, but that's not just 7, that's 7D because of where it is in this number. This is 70 times 4. Okay, so 70 times 4. Oh, I see it right here, and I see it right here. 70 times 4. Okay, now next one I multiplied was 2 times 2, but this isn't just 2, this is 20. So 20 times 2. Oh, there's 20 times 2, and there's 20 times 2. And then last thing I did was 70 times 20. 70 times 20, that was right here, and that was right here. Okay, so I did multiply each piece just like I did in the area model and the break apart model. All right, and I got 288 and 1440 just like I did in the area model. So now if I add these up, I should get the same thing I got in break apart and the same thing I got in the area model. So 8 plus 0 is 8. 8 plus 4 is 12. We carry the 1. 2 plus 4 is 6, plus 1 more is 7. And then our thousands, 1 plus 0 is 1. So we have 1,728, 1,728, 1,728. All right, so it looks like we got the same answer in all of these. If you have any trouble or any questions with this, please ask your teacher, and I hope you have a good rest of your day.